Hello, my little love. Did you have a good day today? I hope something made you smile. Now take a slow breath, relax your shoulders, and let your mind get soft and quiet. It's time for a gentle bedtime story. Long, long ago, in a time when the sky was still learning how to hold all its stars, there lived a kind giant named Atlas. He was very tall, so tall that when he stood on his tiptoes, he could almost touch the lowest clouds. He had gentle eyes the color of mountain stone, and his hair was long and silver like moonlight on water. Atlas was known throughout all the lands as the wisest and most patient of all beings, and he had a very special and important job. Atlas held up the sky. Every single day and every single night, he stood on the highest mountain peak with his strong arms stretched upward, his palms pressed against the vast dome of the heavens, keeping the sky in its proper place above the earth. It was hard work, but Atlas did it with a peaceful heart because he knew how important it was. Without him, the sky and earth might forget their places and become confused. During the day, Atlas would watch the sun make its slow journey across the sky, painting everything in warm golden light. He would see the clouds drift by like soft sheep, and he would feel the gentle wind brush against his face. Birds would sometimes rest on his shoulders, chirping their sweet songs, and he would smile at their little melodies. But it was the night that Atlas loved most of all. When the sun would slip below the horizon and the sky would turn from blue to purple to deep midnight black. The stars would begin to appear, one by one, like tiny candles being lit in a dark room. Atlas knew each star by heart. He had watched them for so many years that they felt like old friends, and he would whisper gentle greetings to them as they appeared. "Good evening, little light," he would say. "How lovely you look tonight, sparkling so brightly." The stars seemed to twinkle a little more happily when Atlas spoke to them, as if they were smiling back at him. Now, Atlas had several daughters called the Hesperides, and they were as kind and gentle as their father. They lived in a beautiful garden not far from where Atlas stood, a garden filled with trees that grew golden apples, flowers that bloomed in every color imaginable, and a fountain that sang soft songs as its water bubbled up from the earth. The Hesperides would visit their father every day, bringing him fresh water to drink and sweet fruit to eat. And they would sit at his feet and keep him company. But Atlas also had other daughters, very special daughters, called the Pleiades. There were 7 of them, and they were sisters who loved each other more than anything in the world. Their names were Maia, Electra, Taygete, Alcyone, Solano, Sterope, and Merope, and each one was kind and gentle in her own beautiful way. Maia was the oldest, and she was wise and thoughtful, always knowing just the right thing to say when someone felt sad. Electra was bright and cheerful, with a laugh that sounded like bells chiming. Taygete loved nature and could name every flower and tree. Alcyone was gentle and calm, and she had a voice that could soothe anyone's worries. Solano loved to tell stories, weaving tales that made people feel warm inside. Sterope was curious and loved to learn new things, always asking questions about how the world worked. And Merope, the youngest, was shy and sweet, with a smile that could melt even the coldest heart. The 7 sisters lived together in a cottage at the base of the mountain where their father stood. They spent their days taking care of each other and helping the people who lived nearby. When someone was sick, they would bring healing herbs. When someone was lonely, they would sit and keep them company. When someone was lost, they would guide them safely home. Every evening, the sisters would climb partway up the mountain to visit their father Atlas. They couldn't climb all the way to the top because it was too high and the air was too thin. But they would go as far as they could, to a special flat rock where they could see their father clearly and he could see them. "Hello, Father," they would call out, their voices carrying on the wind. "Hello, my dear daughters," Atlas would call back, his deep voice rumbling like gentle thunder. "How was your day?" And the sisters would tell him all about their day, about the people they had helped and the beautiful things they had seen. Atlas would listen with a smile, his heart full of pride and love for his kind daughters. One day, something happened that made the sisters sad. A great hunter lived in the forest nearby, and while he was not unkind, he was very lonely. His name was Orion, and he was tall and strong, with a voice that could carry across valleys. Orion had noticed the 7 sisters and had fallen in love with their kindness and beauty. He wanted very much to be their friend. But Orion didn't understand that the sisters were happy just as they were, content in each other's company and in their quiet life of helping others. He would follow them through the forest, trying to talk to them, trying to convince them to spend time with him. He meant no harm, but his presence made the sisters uncomfortable. They were shy and preferred their peaceful, quiet life. "Please, kind Orion," Maya would say gently. "We appreciate your friendship, but we wish to be left alone. We are happy as we are." But Orion, in his loneliness, didn't understand. He kept following them, day after day, thinking that if he just tried hard enough, they would want to be his friends. The sisters grew more and more uncomfortable. They loved their walks through the forest, their quiet time gathering herbs and flowers. But now they felt they couldn't enjoy these simple pleasures because Orion was always there. Always watching, always trying to talk to them when they wished for silence. Finally, Alcyone, the gentle one with the soothing voice, had an idea. "Let us speak to Father," she said. "He is the wisest person we know. He will know what to do." So the 7 sisters climbed up the mountain to their special flat rock, and they called out to their father Atlas. "Father," Maya said, her voice trembling a little, "we need your help. There is a hunter named Orion who follows us everywhere. He is not mean or cruel, but he makes us uncomfortable. We have asked him kindly to leave us be, but he doesn't understand. We don't know what to do." Atlas looked down at his daughters with eyes full of love and concern. His heart ached to see them troubled. He thought for a long moment, his wise mind turning over the problem like a stone smoothed by a river. "My dear daughters," he said finally, his voice gentle as a summer breeze, "you should never have to feel uncomfortable or unsafe. You have asked Orion kindly to respect your wishes, and that was the right thing to do. But sometimes, when words are not enough, we must find another way." He paused, looking up at the vast sky he held above his head, at the countless stars twinkling in the darkness. Then he looked back down at his beloved daughters. "I want to give you a gift," Atlas said softly. "A gift of safety, of peace, and of eternal togetherness. But it means you will have to leave the earth behind. Would you like to hear what I'm thinking?" The sisters looked at each other, holding hands in a chain. each sister connected to the next. They nodded together. I can ask my friend, the great Zeus, who watches over all of us from high above, to transform you into stars, Atlas said. You would become a constellation in the night sky, 7 beautiful lights that would shine together forever. Orion could not follow you there. You would be safe, peaceful, and together always. The whole world would look up and see your kindness and beauty shining in the heavens. The sisters were quiet for a moment, thinking about this. Merope, the youngest, spoke first, her small voice clear in the mountain air. Would we still be together? She asked. Always, Atlas promised. You would be together for all of time, closer than you've ever been, shining side by side. The sisters looked at each other again, and in that look, they shared all their thoughts without needing to speak them aloud. They thought about how much they loved each other, how their bond was the most important thing in their lives. They thought about how wonderful it would be to never be separated, to shine together in the peaceful quiet of the night sky. Yes, Maya said, speaking for all of them. Yes, Father, we would like that very much. Atlas smiled, though there were tears in his eyes because he would miss being able to talk to his daughters every evening. But he knew this was the right choice, the choice that would bring them the peace and safety they deserved. That very night, when the sky was at its darkest and the moon was just a thin silver crescent, something magical happened. Zeus, who had been listening from his place high above, sent down a shower of soft, golden light. It fell on the 7 sisters like warm rain, gentle and glowing. The sisters felt themselves growing lighter, as if they were becoming air itself. They felt their worries and fears melting away like morning frost under the sun. They held hands tighter, forming a circle, and they began to rise. Up and up they floated, as gently as dandelion seeds on a breeze. They rose past the trees, past the tops of the mountains, past the clouds, until they reached the dome of the sky itself. And there, still holding hands, still together, they transformed into stars. 7 beautiful lights appeared in the night sky, clustered close together like a tiny gathering of the brightest diamonds. They shone with a soft, peaceful glow that seemed to pulse gently, like a heartbeat, like 7 sisters breathing in harmony. Atlas looked up at them and felt his heart swell with love and pride. Even though he could no longer talk to them the way he used to, he could see them every single night, shining faithfully above him. And somehow, in the twinkling of their light, he could hear their voices still, telling him about their day, sharing their love. The people on earth looked up and saw the 7 new stars, and they were amazed by their beauty. Look, they would say, pointing at the sky. 7 stars, so close together. They must be sisters. They must love each other very much to stay so near. And they were right. The 7 sisters, now known as the Pleiades, shone in the night sky, peaceful and safe, together for all eternity. They became guides for travelers, helping people find their way in the dark. They became markers of the seasons, appearing in the sky at certain times to tell farmers when to plant and when to harvest. They became a symbol of sisterhood, of love that lasts forever, of the safety that comes from being together. Even Orion, the lonely hunter, learned from what happened. When he saw the sisters transformed into stars, forever out of his reach, he finally understood. He understood that kindness means respecting what others want, that love means letting go when holding on causes pain. He became a wiser, gentler person, and eventually, he too was placed in the sky as a constellation. But far away from the seven sisters, respecting their wish for distance even in the heavens. Atlas continued his important work, holding up the sky with his strong arms, but now his task felt lighter somehow. Every night, he would look up at his daughters shining in the darkness, and he would feel comforted knowing they were safe, happy, and together. Sometimes, on very quiet nights when the air was perfectly still, people said you could hear Atlas singing softly to his daughters. It was a lullaby, gentle and low, the same one he used to sing to them when they were very small. And the stars would twinkle in response, pulsing with light in a rhythm that matched his song. The seven sisters learned to love their new home in the sky. They discovered they could make their light brighter when they were happy, and gentler when they wanted to soothe someone below. They learned that their presence brought comfort to people who looked up at the night sky feeling lonely or afraid. Young children who couldn't sleep would look out their windows and see the Pleiades. And they would feel less alone, knowing that seven sisters were up there watching over them. Sailors on dark seas would navigate by their light, trusting the sisters to guide them safely home. Poets would write about their beauty, and painters would try to capture their gentle glow on canvas. And every person who looked up at those seven stars and understood their story would feel something warm in their hearts. They would think about the people they loved, the ones who made them feel safe and happy. They would think about how important it is to stay close to those we care about, and how important it is to respect others when they ask us to. The seasons turned, years became centuries, centuries became ages, but the seven sisters remained constant in the sky. They watched the world below change and grow. They saw forests become fields, villages become cities, children grow into parents and grandparents. Through it all, they stayed together, their light never dimming, their bond never breaking. And Atlas, faithful Atlas, remained at his post, holding up the sky. With tireless arms, looking up at his daughters every single night and feeling grateful that he could give them such a gift. He knew that true love sometimes means making sacrifices, that protecting those we care about is the most important work anyone can do. On clear nights, even now, if you look up at the sky, you can see the seven sisters still shining there. They're easy to spot if you know where to look, a little cluster of lights that seems to shimmer with a special warmth. Some people say they look like a tiny dipper made of stars. Others say they look like a small swarm of fireflies frozen in the sky. But people who know their story see them for what they really are: seven sisters who loved each other so much that they became eternal lights in the darkness. A reminder that when we have people who truly care for us, when we have those who make us feel safe and loved, we have something more precious than all the treasures on earth. We have a light that can shine forever, guiding us home, comforting us in darkness, and reminding us that we are never, ever truly alone. You did well today, my little love. Now let your eyes grow heavy, and let the night wrap around you like a soft blanket. Sleep well, sweet dreams, and rest deeply.